The dust followed him long after the road disappeared behind the hills, clinging to his boots and coat as if it, too, wanted to know why a man would ride this far with only $12 left in his pocket and hope still stubbornly alive in his chest. The cowboy's name was Caleb Holt, though very few people still remembered it and fewer cared. He had once been many things: a ranch hand, a trail rider, a man promised land by words that were never honored, but now he was simply another drifter moving toward the edge of settled land, where fences ended and survival depended more on grit than law. Beneath him, his old horse struggled, its breath shallow, its strength nearly gone. Caleb knew the truth even if he didn't want to admit it. Without a new horse, the road ahead would end sooner than he was ready for. The trading post near the river was little more than a warped wooden box clinging to relevance. Inside, the smell of iron, leather, and sweat hung heavy. Caleb noticed the rifles on the walls, the sacks of grain, the eyes that judged worth before words were spoken. But his attention locked onto the horse beyond the corral, a powerful chestnut with alert eyes and a stance that promised endurance. One look told him the animal was worth far more than $12. When he asked, the trader laughed and told him plainly that the horse belonged to Chief Red Elk, camped upriver. If you're desperate enough, the man added, you can try your luck with him. Desperation, Caleb knew, had already carried him much farther than pride ever could. By afternoon, he reached the camp. Smoke drifted upward from a circle of teepees, and the land felt watchful, alive in a way that unsettled him. Chief Red Elk emerged, tall, steady, eyes sharp with wisdom earned through years of survival. Caleb spoke honestly. No lies, no exaggeration, just the truth of the road, the failing horse, and the $12 he had to offer. The chief listened in silence before telling him that some things were worth more than money. When night fell, Caleb was invited to share a meal. That was when he first saw them, Ayanna and Naya, the chief's daughters. One calm and composed, her strength quiet but unmistakable. The other alert and fiery, eyes sharp with curiosity and unspoken resolve. Later by the fire, Red Elk spoke again. He agreed to sell the horse for $12. But there was another condition. Caleb would take his daughters with him. Not as property, not as prisoners, but as responsibility. They would see the world beyond the camp. They would learn what waited for their people beyond the plains, and Caleb would protect them with his life. The weight of the deal struck him hard. This was no simple trade. It was trust, honor, and consequence bound together. Looking into the daughters' faces, seeing no fear there, only acceptance, Caleb agreed. And with that, his fate changed forever. Morning came quietly. The horse stood ready, strong and steady. Red Elk said few words as they departed, but his gaze carried warning and hope in equal measure. The journey began in silence, the land opening wide before them. When riders appeared behind them days later, danger came fast and loud. Gunfire cracked the air, but instinct and resolve carried them through. Naya's arrow forced a pursuer back. Ayanna moved with calm precision. Caleb guided them through rocks and shadows, choosing survival over panic. When the threat faded, something unspoken settled between them. A bond formed under fire. Days passed. Rivers were crossed. Towns revealed suspicion and hunger in men's eyes. Caleb stood between the world and the women beside him, learning that protection was more than a promise. It was action again and again. By the fire at night, stories were shared. Loss, fear, hope. The road stripped them bare and reshaped them slowly, painfully. Caleb understood then that the horse wasn't the true price of the deal. Responsibility was. When armed men finally blocked their path, organized, confident, and dangerous, Caleb knew the moment had come that would define everything. $12 had bought him more than a horse. It had bought him a chance to become something more than a man running from his past. Whether he lived or died would matter less than whether he stood his ground. And this is only the beginning. If this story pulled you in, if you felt the dust, the danger, and the weight of that impossible deal, don't leave the journey unfinished. Subscribe to the channel and stay with us, because what happens next will test loyalty, love, and survival in ways that will change every life on this road forever.